The Dechambros are back. This is season 1, episode 12. It was the Players Championship this weekend, and my God, did the players ever provide.
We got a lot to talk about, Shane. I promise you, this weekend, there was like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 times I went to text you, and I was like, just save it for the pod. Just save it for the pod. So I got a lot. I'm loaded. I'm ready. I'm excited.
Just write
what a
it
weekend.
Down, and we will get to it now. So without further ado, let's get into last week on the PGA Tour. Rory motherfucking McIlroy wins in a playoff against JJ Spaun. What a weekend. A whole lot of controversy with it, but I mean...
Let's talk about controversy. I mean, can we please start with what happened before the tournament started? Because if we're going to call this the year of Rory like we have been, we got to start calling this the year of the thief. The year of the thief. The cell phone incident on a practice round.
Yeah.
I have got some opinions on this, but I'd love to hear yours coming from that side of the table. You kind of take golf a little bit more seriously than I do, so I think you might think of it a little bit from a player standpoint more than I am.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd like to start off with saying, like, Rory, come on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you got to be better than that, but at the same point in time, I kind of like the route, not necessarily stealing the phone, but the attitude era of
the
Rory.
Fire.
I mean,
the fire.
We've been in a life where Rory's been this kind of poster child for the PGA Tour, the prince of the tour, dare I say, underneath Tiger Woods.
Fighting for the PGA when Live happened.
100%. And I think playing the nice guy for Rory got old, it got under his skin, he got away from his game, and this badass Rory, I fuck with. And I definitely do. It's a little bit of attitude you need. I mean, when you think about the greatest of all time in every single sport, every single one of them's an asshole.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you talk to any of the locker rooms of, you know, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, like, all of them have that killer mentality. God, even Tiger Woods, right? Like, he was a killer out there. He wasn't very social. Like, now in his older age, he's definitely taken more golfers under his wing and has become a little bit, you know, happier and more joyous with the game of golf and sharing that with others. But man, prime Tiger Woods was a fucking animal. You know what I mean?
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, we saw that on Rory. I don't know if you saw in the playoff when JJ Spaun hit his ball in the water. I'm watching the replay. He hits it in the water. Rory sees it and goes in the water. He just walks.
Yeah, Rory's business.
Walks right away.
I mean,
He's like, I got no time for you. I got no time for this water ball. I need my trophy, man. And I loved it.
Well, we'll get to the playoff thoughts in a second here, but I mean, like, when I first saw that, I'll be honest, my opinion changed over the weekend. At first, well, I still think this. I think that's a soft reaction to that, to being meddled like that. I mean, you kind of come to expect it in a certain sense when you're in the limelight. But when that happened, I was like, oh, God, like, Rory's losing this tournament. He's in his head. You know what I mean? He's like, I 100% thought this was the super negative. And then seeing him lock in this weekend, I'm like, okay, anytime something like this happens again, it's Rory. Bet Rory. It more reinforced the year of Rory for me. And it even made me take a peek at a little bit of early Masters lines, and I saw Rory at plus 600.
Brother, I got that as a note down here as well. I did some peeking myself. Yeah, I mean, to go back to it, I mean, definitely not, I don't think, the greatest reaction you could have had. I mean, 100%, you're in the limelight, you're a professional athlete, you're going to get heckled, but at the same point in time, this isn't fucking hockey, this isn't football, this is golf. And I feel like there was a line that was crossed, but then there was a line that was crossed back by Rory. So, I mean, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but at the same point in time, you got to be better.
Question for you.
Yeah, man.
So I saw 2 different outcomes from this, and I don't know which is real because it's the internet.
Okay.
Outcome number 1 was that the phone was handed over to a security guard. Outcome number 2 was an image that showed a person using Find My iPhone, and it was in the lake in between the 2 holes. Or the pond, sorry. I mean, I see that second one being just an internet little meme, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know what happened after. Like, what happened to that phone?
I saw another one, which I'm assuming someone made. It was a Snapchat of Rory saying, you know what I mean?
Oh, God, yeah. No, that's got to be fake.
There's a whole lot of bullshit out there.
AI's getting real.
If I would have to guess, I would say that he handed it to the security because that's just something he would do. Rory's not going to throw someone's phone in the fucking lake.
I mean, it would kind of make it a little bit better for me if he did throw the phone in the lake, it would make it funnier for sure. More soft at the same time. So
for sure. I mean, controversy didn't just end there either. I mean, let's go and let's talk a little bit about JJ Spaun and how he even got himself into the playoff.
You talking about the drop ball?
I'm talking about the drop ball and then the drop ball into the fairway. I mean, the rules are the rules, and they're there for a meaning. He definitely took, in my opinion, advantage of it to a point that I would say is unethical. I mean, we're playing golf here. Golf is a gentleman's game, and when we're out there and it's you and me on the course, imagine this. If I have the ball on the course and it's 100% by the rules, I say, hey, my foot is on a sprinkler head. I'm going to take a free drop, club length over, and you go, yeah, no problem. Then I drop that ball and say, hey, here's a second sprinkler head. I drop into the fairway, and me and you have money on the line in that game. You're going to lose your shit. There's no way that that's going to fly.
So I'll be honest. Number one, I don't know if I agree with your ethical comment because it's in the rule book and it was allowed and there was no penalty for it. So it's just taking advantage of the rules. I don't agree with it. But I also think, and I've thought this previously, that we as average golfers don't actually know enough of the rules to take advantage of them, because if I was to pull something like that on the golf course playing with friends, they'd call me out immediately, even if it was a real rule in the PGA handbook. For sure. Immediately, like I would be called out. They wouldn't be allowed, even if it was a true rule, right? So, I mean, I agree with both sides of the equation on this. I mean, I don't think it was unethical because it is in the rule book. I think he just took advantage of a rule and he knew the rules well enough. There's been other instances at, the Anthill comment a few years back. Yeah. All these things that's in the rule book for a reason. Do I agree with it? Maybe not as much, but it is a rule. So I don't think.
I've also seen Brooks have to hit off of a route because the rules official wouldn't allow him to move it, even though it was in his stance. And if you remember that, he said, if I break my fucking arm, it's your fault. You know what I mean?
I love that line, yeah.
It's one of those things to me, like, sure, it's in the rule book. What's the chances that two sprinkler heads are going to be within a club length of each other? Like maybe that's some irrigation issues going on with the course. Maybe space them out a little bit further. To me, the point of him going in his club length and finding another sprinkler head to make sure he can drop it on one.
Yeah, we all know what happened. We know he did it on purpose. So maybe not
unethical. It's a bitch move.
It's
a bitch move.
I mean, but at the end of the day, the golf gods rewarded him like they should have, and he didn't win. It was almost an embarrassing playoff. And I have further comments around that playoff in a second here. But back to the sprinkler head, I think, he got what he deserved out of the golf gods, right?
And 100%, I'm a believer in the golf gods. I'm a believer in karma, and the ball don't lie, man. It definitely doesn't. I mean, going down even to the 18th hole, that putt he had to win was one ball rotation away from just stealing that away from Rory. And if you remember, Rory's putt was a lip in.
I was gonna say the ball, or the hole stole the ball. 100%. That should, in my head, when I saw it, I'm like, dude, that should have been like 10 feet past the hole.
Yep.
That should never have dropped. That was an insane drop. And that was a half a millimeter away from Rory losing everything this season and everything coming back, all of the fears, all of the doubts in his brain, the yips, and a 4-foot putt. Yep. Honestly, like that, we were fractions away from losing Rory this year mentally.
I 100% couldn't agree more with you there. But I mean, controversy with JJ Spaun didn't end there either, in my opinion. I mean, we're talking the playoff. I think we're about to talk about the same thing on 17.
I mean, I'd like to talk about the playoff first, about how the place paused on Sunday. So here's a. What would you think of this thought process? So JJ Spaun on Sunday, yes, a few drop issues, things going in, the ball, one, roll from going in. He was in the zone on Sunday. Had there not been a weather delay for 5+ hours, and had they played that playoff Sunday night, I think we would have had a different outcome. I don't know if he would have won. I don't think he would have gone +3 through 3 holes if the playoff happened Sunday when he was still in the zone. Because in my head, what happens is Sunday night, he goes back to his hotel. Rory goes and watches Devil Wears Prada. Good for you, Rory. You're a vet. You've been here 5 times now. This is your 6th time in a playoff, okay? JJ Spaun's never won on tour. So all night long, if he slept at all, he was thinking about, he has not won on tour yet.
I think he has 1 win at the Valspar.
Please check, because I thought he didn't. But anyways, just continue this thought process. He's still, new on tour. He's going up against what would be one of the toughest opponents in today's golf era, Rory McIlroy, who basically has a statue already built of him. He does have 1 win. Okay, yeah. Okay. And then you've got Rory going up against JJ Spaun. This is, his 6th playoff. It's just go in. It's a business, decision. He's told us he woke up at like 3 a.m., couldn't fall back asleep. How did JJ do, right? Thinking about going into a playoff against Rory. I think that time off was a hindrance to JJ and wasn't as much of a hindrance to Rory's game.
For sure. But I mean, that's golf, baby. Yep. And you can say the same thing for the guys that went off, Sunday morning and had to deal with more of the weather with their round. And that's just golf, man. This is a game that we play outside. And at the end of the day, it's not just a physical game, it's a mental game, and Rory was just mentally stronger. Like,
I agree.
That's just how it had to go, right? And I mean, we can talk too. I have it down here in terms of the notes as well to get to in a second, but even Rory's win in the playoff wasn't very Rory-like or wasn't very spectacular.
No, he just got
birdie, bogey. He got it done. You know what I mean?
Got it done, right? I mean, truthfully, when you see that ball go in the water on 17 and he's already a bogey to a birdie, like immediately that does something to your psyche. And I don't know if it's turn off the gas pedal, but it's a feeling of somewhat comfort in your brain knowing that you've got a few shots. Like you can hit a bad one here and it's okay. You can recover, right? And in JJ's head, it's I need to hit the absolute perfect shot to get it back. And Rory's like, it doesn't need to be the perfect shot. Be comfortable, be cool, that mentality switch from 16
but
to
that's
17.
That's also in my mind a bad play from JJ Spaun because JJ did par, right? He parred 16.
Bogeyed.
No, he parred it.
Almost positive it was a bogey.
All right, we got to research again. So
I could be so wrong, dude. I just know he was down after the first hole.
He was down by 1. He parred 16. Rory birdied it. Rory put one right in the middle of 17, and that's where the second piece of controversy that I wanted to talk about in terms of the playoff. I mean, JJ peeked into Rory's bag, saw he took a 9-iron out, changed his club, and hammered it over top of the green.
That's my favorite thing ever. If I'm I immediately thought of this. If I'm in a playoff, I'm putting my 7 where my 6 goes. I'm putting my 9 where my pitching wedge goes. I'm putting my 5 where my 7 goes. I'm mixing everything up and I'm labeling everything so that if someone's going to try and peek into my bag, it fucks them over.
Well, and it's not just that. It's just
not against the rules, but
it's not against the rules. And I'm not saying he cheated in that, but what I'm saying is it shows his lack of confidence. I mean, Rory McIlroy hit a little knockdown 9, faded in there really nicely, stopped exactly where he wanted it in the middle of the green. And
JJ smashed his 9.
And JJ went, oh shit, I bet you he had probably a pitching in his hand or something, right? And he went, okay, I got to hit a hard pitching wedge. Went, oh shit, Rory just hit a 9, grabbed his 9 out and flew the green. You have to have confidence in this game. And at the end of the day, whether they had the playoff Sunday night, which they obviously didn't, or Monday morning, one golfer showed up confident that was their trophy, and the other did not, and that definitely showed.
Yeah, I can't argue that. I even think Rory probably wins Sunday if the playoff happens there. I just think it may have played out differently, and I truthfully think that time was what really got into JJ's head, and it was evident by searching in Rory's bag to be confident about the club he chose. And
for sure.
It's just all those little things kind of added into it, and I think, it's just good for JJ for getting there. JJ's actually had some pretty good finishes this year so far. So, rising star, good for the kid. Unfortunately, you faced a Goliath in Rory, and Rory just came for business.
100%. And, I touched a little bit about the playoff and how, it was a little lackluster how Rory finished it off. The same point in time, Rory had a 3-shot lead on Sunday and wasn't able to close that out. So, We talk about the year of Rory. This is a huge win for Rory. Fun fact, it's the second time he's won the Players. It's also the second time he's won the Players on St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
So that's just, luck of the Irish. It was always him, baby. It was gonna happen, right? But I wouldn't say I'm concerned, but it's on the radar that going in with a 3-shot lead against JJ Spaun, not being able to close him out on Sunday, having a lackluster performance on the Monday for the playoff. Am I worried about Rory's game? No. If he has, another week where he kind of can't get it done on Sunday again, it's one of those things that's always going to be in the back of your head.
I mean, truthfully, if this was on an easier golf course, I'd agree with that comment. This is a really hard golf course, right? All that tells me, excuse me, sorry, is that Rory did enough during the weekend to play lackluster Sunday and Monday and still win, and that's a really good sign. For sure. We say it's a hard golf course, but if we can move on to a little bit of a record-setting moment from this golf course this weekend.
Would love to.
I'd love to talk about our guy, Justin Thomas.
What an absolute stripe show on Saturday.
Oh my goodness. Anytime we get to talk about Rory and Justin, it's great for golf. So I'm glad we're having these conversations. But this guy went 78 on Thursday and then 62 Friday. Set a record for 11 birdies, 10 under. He bogeyed the 18th hole. Could have set a record for lowest on this course, but ties the record for lowest on the course at 10 under. Insane. What a 16-shot difference from Thursday. Like, what are we talking about? A 16-shot
swing is wild, and I'm glad that you had that written down. That's what I was just scrolling to see because I couldn't remember the actual number on
16.
round one. I knew it was high up in the 70s, but 78 to 62 is an absolute wild swing. Like, it's unfortunate that he had to follow that up with a pair of 73s on the weekend. Was definitely hoping that our guy JT was going to be able to carry the momentum of that, record time. I mean, I was hoping he was going to break it. I was hoping for that 61.
I thought he was going to get it, and then bogey's 18. I was following the whole thing, and some of these shots he was hitting were just insane.
Just absolute prime JT.
And so also I had that this written down. Do you know that he's gone the most 62 or below in the last 40 years? He's done it 13 times. Tiger's only done it 9 times.
I did see that. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. This guy can go low at any time. Can play. And any course. Like at the Players.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to talk about? I called Rory.
That's insane.
Called Rory the Prince of the PGA Tour underneath the King. You know what I mean? In Tiger Woods,
JT the Princess.
JT is. I wouldn't call him the princess, but he's definitely pretty damn near close to protege. I mean, this guy hangs out with Tiger, on a daily basis. Like they're, you know what I mean? Like their families are very close, and you can definitely see when he locks in, he has that quote unquote Tiger vision, like he had on Saturday. He was an unstoppable force. Just absolutely entertaining to watch, especially, getting it done on a Friday where traditionally, most golf fans are watching Sundays. Some of them will watch Saturdays. Not a lot of fans are watching on Thursday and Friday. And that definitely brought some excitement into the round to get some people to tune in for sure.
Oh God. Yeah. Awesome. And then I got one more thing here from last week.
Yeah.
Just a kind of a question for you, because I know you're a big Scheffler guy.
Hey, brother, you must be reading my sheet here.
I'm not, but let's talk about this. So finishes -4 on the weekend. Again, it's a hard golf course, right? He went -3 on Thursday, -2 on Friday. So you're thinking, oh, this guy's he's got a good shot at this. Even +1 on the weekend to finish. So, I mean, he's had 5 events, 2 top 10s, 5 top 25s. He's made every cut. He's 14th in FedEx points so far. Are you worried about how his game is progressing this year comparative to some of his prior years? Are you thinking this is on course because he had that injury?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts as a rider for Scheffler?
Yeah, so I kind of wrote that down here as Scotty Scheffler check-in. So you're absolutely correct. This year looks a lot different than last year. I mean, he's played 5 events, T9, T25, T3, T11, T20. He's still playing great golf. And if it was anyone other than Scottie Scheffler, we would be talking about how well he has been playing. I think that what's happened, and we touched on this a little bit last week in kind of comparing, a Tiger run and not calling it a Tiger run anymore, calling it a Scottie run, right? And a Scottie run's not going to happen every single year. It is so extremely difficult to win on the PGA Tour. He won 9 times last year. He set that bar very, very high for himself. And we know where his ceiling is, but we're also seeing where his floor is. And if his floor is consistent top 20s, that's the number one golfer in the world. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So am I concerned? Not really. You know what I mean? Like he's still playing top-notch golf. He's just, there's something going on, whether it's at home or in his head, or, call it a hangover from the season that he had last year. I'm not concerned. I mean, I'll bring back up too, I had this to talk about later, but did you see fucking Phil and what Phil had to say?
No, talk to me.
So our good guy, Phil Mickelson on the LIV Tour had some choice words to say on Twitter. Wacko Neiman, our guy.
I did see this. He's saying he was the best in the world.
Yeah, so a Dechambros alumni that we lost to the LIV Tour won last week, and we'll kind of get into living the dream now, I guess, and get this over with. So we won last week. Phil took to Twitter saying that Neiman was the number one golfer in the world, and then he followed that up by saying, do you think that, I have the actual tweet right here. Hold on a second. So his actual tweet is this. Here's a hot take. Does Scottie win in 2025 before the Ryder Cup? I don't think so. Do I agree with that? When is Ryder Cup? Absolutely not. It's in October.
October. Oh, God, I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all.
There's a whole lot of golf to be played.
No.
Is Wacko playing well? Yeah. Is he the number one player in the world? Not even fucking close, man. Not even close. And stats don't lie, man. Like, wins on the LIV Tour, in my opinion, are worthless. They're meaningless. I don't give a fuck if he wins 10 times on the LIV Tour. He's still not anywhere near the number one player in the world.
No.
Scottie could finish top 10 every single tournament and is still a better golfer than Wacko.
I mean, in my head, I feel like the only one you could say is better than Rory better than Scottie is if Rory wins again on tour this year soon. And not like September wins, but I mean like March wins, right?
Yeah.
Never gotten, or April wins, sorry. Never gotten a win in April, right? You throw me in another win in May and I'm like, and Scottie hasn't won since. I'm like, okay, now we need to start talking about 1 and 2 again because this year, Rory's playing better, right? Yeah. I agree with you fully. You can't really put the LIV wins up against PGA wins, especially with the amount of people that are on tour and you're fighting against, and it's a whole different ball game. It's a 3-day tournament, not a 4-day tournament. It's completely different. So
they're playing municipal golf courses, not championship golf courses.
Well, I think they're playing on Trump courses, which were previous PGA courses, and then he became the president. Politics gets in the way of a lot of shit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't agree with that. I think that's just he's a homer rooting for his league and trying to make his league still in the conversation. And what better way to do that than to chirp the number one golfer in the world? And he did a good job because we're talking about it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Before we move on, just some notable mentions. Your guy Akshay, fantastic weekend out of Akshay, showing some life. Kind of was hoping he'd get a little bit more on Sunday. We get a little bit more out of him on Sunday, especially in a Ryder Cup year, and the possibility to get all of those points and as many points as he could to see him on that team. But great showing out of Akshay. Canadian boy Corey Connors up there with a T6. Colin Morikawa still showing some great golf with a T10.
I mean, this course plays well to Morikawa's strengths, right? Just like last week's did. I was actually considering putting Morikawa back in my bets again, but I was like, man, that loss, is that going to hurt him? Is he going to have a little bit of a hangover from that loss and that stress? And he played exceptional this weekend.
Great bounce back weekend for him. Love to see Colin out there still playing great golf.
Yeah.
And hope to continue to see him on the top of that leaderboard. But let's talk a little bit about how the Dechambros did, Tanner. What do we got going on this week for our squad?
Yeah, so fantasy-wise, as you know, we had all 12 of our players in the tournament. We actually had 8 make the cut. And thinking, 8 made the cut, we're like, oh, wow, we must have done extremely well, right? No. We ended 140th this week, so just under middle of the pack.
Yep.
And we dropped 25 spots on the year-to-date ranking, so we're up to 107 year-to-date now out of 310, I believe.
Yeah, and out of 310, again, I keep saying we're around top third. It's not a bad spot to be when, you know what I mean, we're a quarter of the way, call it, through the season. So still a lot of golf to go. Yeah. It definitely hurt us having a lot of teams that picked Rory in that first group, especially seeing how the player that we picked in that first group and how he did. So,
let's get into this first. How about Zalatoris? I mean, were you paying attention over the weekend on Zalatoris's round?
To Zally, not really. No, I'm going to say he kind of flew, under the radar for me.
Well, he shouldn't have. I'll explain why. You ready for this? So, Zalatoris finished T30th, okay? Yep. So, not a great finish. What day was this? I believe it was on day 3. It was. Okay. So coming in to 15th hole on day 3, he was 1 behind the lead in second place, tied for second place. On 14, he had a quad bogey. On 15, he had a double bogey. He had a double bogey on 17 and a double bogey 18.
Hell of a way to finish around. Yeah,
dude, from second place to like 50th place. Oh my gosh. Like if that blow up didn't happen, he finished the rest of the weekend like decent.
Yeah. Not a bad, 70, 76. And then he followed that up obviously with the 78 and then 71 on Sunday. So, even if he takes 8 shots off that score, like what are we at, right? What did Rory win with? A -12 and Zally had a -3. So you shoot a 70 or a 71 on Saturday and you got a top 5.
That's what I'm talking about. That was pain. But I do want to give some love to somebody that you hate on our team. Davis Thompson, my guy. I wanted that pick. I told you that he was, trending in the right direction as a youngster on the tour. Finished T10th this week. So thank you for at least doing one thing for us.
Yeah, thanks for showing up so far. Yeah, this is the first tournament he's really done.
I think the second tournament he's done decent in, but
still not all that impressed. T10 at the players impressed.
I was gonna say the rest of the players from that grouping, those were all the amateurs. So I don't know how many people are out playing him from there right now, but I'm sure it's not too strong. But we did, you talked about, we had Corey Connors, T6 there, Captain Keegs with a T20, and Shane Name Game Lowry with a T20 as well.
Yeah, another great showing by our captain, Keegan Bradley, another top 20.
Yep, again, another solid.
And this brings me back to, we talk.
They're just strong showings, but none of it is like elite showing. None of it is like top tier placement showing.
Yeah, but he's still showing up. Yeah. Instead of going in zigzag.
He's not missing. No. He's just consistently top 20ing, top 25ing tournaments.
Right. So. And as we keep going down this list here, we're going to get to someone who, Captain Keegan is outplaying to a T, man.
That's a hard decision. How do you pick Schauffele on the Ryder Cup? Today you say no because he's not back up and going, but or do you say yes just because he's a major champion from the year prior? And
so let's get to Xander. He finished 72nd, dead fucking last.
He made the cut on the cut line once again.
And he did nothing for us last week, did nothing for us this week again. Money's money. He made the cut, but he's kind of gone from, Xander watch, when are you going to come back and save our team, to, fuck, man, maybe you should have taken some more time. Like, what's going on with Xander?
I don't think he's happy either. You know what I mean?
He shot an 81 on Sunday.
Yeah. So last week you asked me, am I worried? I wasn't worried. This week, ask me again.
Are you worried?
I'm worried.
I'm fucking terrified.
I'm worried. I'm a little worried. I mean, I know we say this. It's a long season. I'm worried. I'm a little worried, right? Especially kind of leading up. I'm happy he's playing this week. I think he needs to play this week. That made me very happy. Not just because it gives us, 8 people in the tournament this week, but I think he needs it. And it's not an excessively strong field. Like, there are some really good golfers out there, but it's not an excessively strong field, right?
And I think what he needs is he needs a tune-up. And I mean, look what happened last 2 times we talked about golfers going in and having tune-ups, right? I mean, he's played Bay Hill. He's played the Players. He got off of an injury to 2 of the hardest tournaments of the year on 2 of the hardest courses.
Every single hole you're shaping in a different direction. So if you haven't been playing and you're not feeling it, that is a course where you can go 81.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, being a top player in the world and shooting an 81 is definitely something.
I'd be happy shooting a 120 there, I'm sure.
I mean, I think you'd be lucky to shoot a 120.
Buddy, I'd be going 8 iron, 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 every single shot.
I mean, you want to talk about, look at the Creator Classic. We'll touch on that real quickly, but I mean, look at Trent Ryan. I mean, they've always said on Barstool they'd love to see, just a regular Joe go out to a tournament. We saw it, a 61 through 8 holes. Is incredible.
You see that? He's like, hey, nice try, Justin. I beat you, though. 61.
I fucking loved that. I loved that. What an all-time tweet out of Barstool Trent. My God. But
shit.
I mean, definitely on my worry list, Xander is right now. I agree with you. I'm glad that he's playing this week. I'm glad that we're going to see some more golf out of him before major season rolls around because, I mean, he's gone very quickly from, a major contender and a Ryder Cup, top tier player. He's still going to make the Ryder Cup. I don't think anyone's going to catch him.
I think it's legacy,
points. It's not even legacy, just top 6 players by points.
Because it's years, multiple years.
Yeah.
Fair.
It'd be hard for someone to catch him in terms of points and kick him off there. Mm-hmm. I'm just hoping that he can continue to play, continue to get the reps in, and get back to.
He had like a T3 in the Masters last year too, didn't he, or T2 or something?
I'd have to check.
He did really well last year in the Masters. Yeah. Darn. Okay. All right, so can I get us some positive news here to kick us into a new segment?
Absolutely.
Love that. All right, so we got some new golf news here. I got 2 different things I want to talk to you about. All right.
Beautiful. Let's get to it.
We're gonna start with Happy Gilmore number 2. We got the trailers.
The trailer.
There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Smart man, Tanner. Smart man. We got the trailers.
Big old Johnny D showing up in the trailer.
Oh my goodness. We got Bryson in there. We got Rory in there. We got Schaff in there. You got everybody in this movie. I honestly couldn't be more excited for, I think it's July 25th.
July 25th. That's coming out. Very, very excited to see it. And you know what? When it was announced, it's one of those things that, like, take Anchorman, for example, okay? Now, Anchorman, if you grew up in our era, was an absolute staple. Like, I remember going to
a staple.
100%. But I mean, I remember the summer that Anchorman came out. We went to my buddy Mark's house every single day. We slept there every single night. We had a little TV with a DVD player in it, and it was down in the living room where we all stayed. Anchorman was on 24/7. Like, we'd go out at night, come home, press play. We'd wake up in the morning, press play. We'd make fucking breakfast, plus play. Like, that thing was on repeat. Buddy. Was very excited when I heard Anchorman 2 came out. Crushed my soul. Yeah, just horrific. And
almost every movie, it's like that, though. The second, never, like...
What it seems like, though, and from what I've seen with the trailer and things like that, is I really like the route that Adam Sandler is taking with it in terms of, like, he's an older, washed up Happy. You know what I mean? It's going to be... I think, Adam Sandler's fucking hilarious. Anything he does is going to be funny. But taking the storyline and flipping it, you know what I mean? And bringing it into, what it would be like in this era with this age to try and go back and having the cameos come in. Like, I think that's a great move. I'm really, really excited to be able to see it. And here's to hoping it shows up the way that we hope it does.
I also think that, how many years in between the first and second, it gives you so much separation and want for the new movie that, like, any direction they go, I think will kind of be a little happy.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
But you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm super excited about it. I agree with you. You know, I think the cameos with the actual golfers is going to be amazing. You know, seeing some of those scenes where he's like, you know, I got to go to a more age appropriate happy place. I swear if that isn't super inappropriate, then that's going to ruin the joke. Like that better be even worse than the first movie's happy place. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh God, that's what I'm like, for some reason, that's what I'm like sticking my stake to right there.
And I agree with you. I think the time in between movies is perfect. I think if he followed up Happy Gilmore 1 with Happy Gilmore 2.
And now I'm the best golfer in the world.
Would have sucked, right? And I think seeing him as a washed up golfer is going to be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I fully agree. I'm pumped for that one, so I was excited to get to talk about that a little bit. And then this next one here, it's the Masters dinner was announced. Did you see? Did you see that? Okay, so there's a super troll in there that I really want to talk about, but I also wanted to talk about something here because
I mean the dinner looks pretty similar to what it was last year.
There's one striking addition, and I want you to talk about this with me for a second here. So the big addition to it is Papa Chef's meatball and ravioli bites. That's the addition. What did he hurt himself doing over the holiday season, Shane? Cooking ravioli. That is a top tier troll if I've ever seen one.
You know what's funny?
Everything is basically the same, and then he adds ravioli to the mix.
You know what's so funny is when I saw that didn't even
It didn't click, eh? It didn't click.
I saw ravioli bites with Papa's meatballs, and I went, well, fucking ravioli is just a meatball that's wrapped in, like, so what is a meatball ravioli bite when it's not? It's just a fucking ravioli bite. But that is fucking top tier out of Chef.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. So, you know, you're getting the same slider hamburgers. You're getting the steak and the fish. You're getting all the good stuff. And then he throws in the extra. It's the ravioli that he hurt himself on. So
let's just hope it's not Scotty that's making them himself.
Hey.
We cannot deal with another injury to Scotty's
That
hands.
made me laugh so hard, though, when I saw that earlier today. So I had to comment on it.
Beautiful. Hey, way to bring the pod back up off the Xander news. So let's keep this positivity going, because this weekend, although it's not an elevated event, it's not a big event, it is truly one of my favorite events in the Valspar. Love the trophy, love the colors, love everything about it.
It's actually another hard course.
It is a really difficult course, especially, what do they call it? The snake pit, 16, 17, 18. So I'm really excited that we're just going from tournament to tournament to tournament, where the final 3-hole stretch is the hardest stretch on the course.
What was the one a few weeks ago? Was it the bear pit or was the bear something?
Yeah.
I like that they have names. It makes me, like it even more.
Yeah, if only we could remember them.
It was bear something. Then we got the snake pit. Jeez.
Like the snake pit. So I looked up this real fun fact, and I think that you're going to love this, because
love fun facts.
Like me, I mean, you've kind of turned into the golf fan that likes a little bit of carnage and likes the score staying low.
Yeah.
The snake pit last year, the field collectively shot 256 over par in that 3-hole stretch.
That's crazy.
So you want to talk about blow-ups. We want to talk about JJ Spaun blowing up in the final stretch at the Players, and seeing what, a difficult 3-hole stretch to finish off your round can do. 256 over par collectively in the field. I think that we're going to see some absolute Zalatoris-style blow-ups at the end of somebody's round over this weekend. So
hopefully it ain't Zalatoris that it happens to.
Fuck, I hope so. He's playing. I hope so too. And just another exciting fact, going back a couple of weeks too, the Valspar is always at Copperhead as well. So another one of those tournaments that returns to a course that we get to learn over the years, that we get to love and appreciate and look forward to watching.
You can't have something called the snake pit if it isn't there every single year, and I absolutely love it.
Beautiful. So let's kind of go and take a look and see who we have playing at the Valspar. Now, you mentioned that we have
I said 8. We have 7. I said 8. I think we have 7 only.
2, 4, 6, 7.
Yeah.
We do. So looking at the squad that we have coming up, it's funny that, I feel like a broken record, but I'm kind of positive and I'm kind of not at the same point in time. So You mentioned we have, Xander leading the field for our team.
Yep.
We also have good Canadian boy, Corey Connors, playing really, really great golf right now. So looking forward to seeing him in there.
A great stretch of golf.
My name twin, Shane Mo fucking Lowry, is in the field again. He's been an absolute top 20 machine this year.
He's been a monster, yep.
Really looking forward to him coming in there. Willie Z, we talked about him earlier.
Had a the great ups are up and the downs are down.
Minus 1 day, so hopefully he's able to, mimic what he did on Friday, on Thursday, and on Sunday, and we leave the Saturday round at home. We also have our guy Rasmus back in the field, Kurt Kitayama, and Eric Cole. So,
hey, I mean, at the beginning of the year, would you have like second guessed if I told you that Eric Cole would be ranked higher than, some of these other golfers in the league here? I mean, looking at even like Kitayama, I would have thought Kitayama would have had a better year to start than Eric Cole has so far.
For sure.
I mean, just thinking of, like some of his prior wins on tour and finishes in some prior years here. Eric Cole he's not doing too bad, right? I mean, like he's not doing anything amazing, but
I mean, he's not doing good. Even looking at the odds difference, Kurt Kitayama is plus 5,500. Eric Cole,
oh yeah,
plus 15,000.
I mean, but I look at the FedEx Cup points. Kitayama is way down that list right now, and Eric Cole is a lot higher up on it. So odds and where you've been finishing don't always equal up, right? I mean,
yeah, I hear you. I mean, previous finishes in the course and that kind of stuff obviously come into play.
And your name, honestly, like Vegas always knows like people are going to bet certain names over other names, and so they're going to give it different odds based on that as well, right?
For sure. And I mean, as I kind of dig deeper down into the leaderboard that we have coming up, there's not much really that's going to be scaring me this week. I mean, your guy Sepp Straka is in the field.
He's strong.
He's an absolute powerhouse. Matthew Pavon is in there. Steven Yeager playing pretty good golf this year. Sam Burns back in the field. Billy Ho has been playing absolute lights out on the TGL, so look for his name in there. Tommy Fleet's in there. So there are a couple of big names.
What's it? How do you say his last name? Christian Bazenhout or something like that?
Yeah. I think you nailed it. I'm gonna go with you nailed it so that if you butchered it, I don't.
Yeah. I kind of like that guy. I like that dude a lot. I like his game.
Big name guy.
I'm a big name guy. You know this.
Beautiful. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing the Valspar this week and the Snake Pit. So, you want to get into our 20s, 10s, and 5s and see kind of...
I would absolutely love to.
Beautiful. So, let's start with how we did last week, and then we'll go into who we picked for the Valspar and who we think is going to be able to tame the Copperhead Snakes out there.
Love it. Well, I mean, we both cashed the same top 20 bet.
Shane Mo fucking Lowry.
So we can add one to both of our tallies here. So that puts you at 7, and that puts me at 5.
Yeah, and before we move on from Shane Lowry, massive round on Sunday, shooting a 67 to secure that T20 for us. He actually bogeyed 17 and then birdied 18 to make that bet cash. So, Shane, my man, I love you. You know I love you.
Huge.
Thank God and thank you for having that birdie on 18 so we could cash that bet.
Yep, that was solid. That was a good one.
Our 10s were different, though.
They were, yeah.
How'd your top 10 do, Tan?
So I had Straka.
Yep.
And Straka, we talk about finishing one stroke off of getting there. He actually finished 2 strokes off the top 10. He was tied for 14th. So close, but no cigar on that one.
Close, but no cigar, as they say. I mean, my top 10, if you remember, was Rory motherfucking McIlroy winning the event for me.
Yep, that gets you
Beautiful
up there
Sunday for me to watch, just knowing I always had that top 10 secured. So another bet cashed out of me.
Let's go. And then Matsuyama.
Hideki for you for your top 5.
I had a real good feeling about him coming into it, and he let me down. He didn't make the cut.
You know what? That's fine, because my top 5 was Ludwig, and he didn't make the cut either.
That was a very surprising miscut for me. I don't know. Like, I feel like Luddy, to start the year, episode number 1, I was like, who the fuck is Luddy? Why are you putting him in here with them? And you're like, oh, give him some respect. I'm back to like, it feels like he didn't deserve to be in that top tier. It should have been somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that, but I would also disagree with that. I mean, take a look at what he's done this year. It's definitely been highs and lows.
Highs and lows
Ludwig
for sure.
This year. He battled some sickness. So, I mean, he came out of the gate. He gets T5 at the Century.
Yeah.
Great showing at the Century. I want to say Tournament of Champions. It almost slipped out, but it isn't anymore. It's just the goddamn Century. Fucking fix that.
I hate it.
Gets sick, has 2 bad weeks, right? Finishes, I think it was in like 50 or something like that, and then withdrew the next week. Then he wins. But then he follows that up with a T22, so another top 25, and now he missed the cut. So definitely some ups and downs, but his highs are really, really high. And I mean, having an off week, you can have an off week. The consistency hasn't been there this year, like I was hoping for, and like we've seen in the past. But you know, when he's there, and he's definitely proven with a win already this season that he did deserve that spot. Do I wish that he was in, you know, Group 2 or Group 3 because he would have been an absolute shoo-in, and you never would have changed my mind on anyone else in that group other than having Ludwig, for sure. And the only reason
Group 2 was Wyndham.
Yeah, I mean,
right, and Wyndham withdrew this week.
He did.
He had an injury, right?
He did. Yeah, and we'll get to that with the TGL as well, and kind of how that affected not only the tournament this year for the players, but also how, in my mind, that really affected the outcome of the TGL playoffs. But I still have faith in my boy. I think that Luddy 100% is still a top contender. I still 100% believe he's a top 5 golfer in the world. I think that he's proven that already, and we've said it before. We've said it 100 times, and we're going to say it another 1,000 times before this season is over in this podcast. There's a lot of golf to go, and there's a lot of different opportunities for Ludwig to show us what he can do. I'm really excited with what that's done to his Masters odds, because he's definitely up there in my top players to pick for the Masters this year. So
when do we stop saying there's a lot of golf left to go? Is that July?
In the playoffs?
Is that June? is that July? Like, when do we start saying, like, is it August? We can no longer say there's a lot of golf left?
Well, I'd say probably once we get halfway through the season. I mean, again, week 12 is kind of that quarter mark, and we're only a quarter of the way through the season. I think once we get through major season, it starts to be like you got to buckle up if you want to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's grind time.
And it's definitely a little bit different. But like I said, I'm sure within the next 12 weeks we'll have there's a lot of golf to go conversations.
Oh God, yeah, my favorite.
Speaking of golf to go, let's talk about this week in our 20s, 10s, and 5s.
Let's get to that.
You want to start me off there, Tanner? Who you got for your top 20?
I'm cheating, my friend.
Okay.
I'm cheating. Picking the sure thing.
Okay.
I'm picking Shane fucking Lowry.
I swear to God, if you don't believe us, I don't know how. Tanner lives upstairs. I live downstairs. We did not talk about this. In fact, I, on my lunch at work, did all of my picks while you were at home working.
First off, this is going to get funny because I just looked at your list, so it's going to get even funnier.
Yeah, why? Is he not your top 20?
No, who? Shane is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Shane's my top 20.
So I picked Shane Lowry for a couple of different reasons. One, I absolutely love the guy. I don't know how many times I can say that. He's my name twin. I love seeing him on the top of the leaderboard. I love cheering for him. But it's also how he's been playing this year. I mean, I mentioned it before. He's an absolute top 20 machine.
Yep.
He's had 4 out of his 6 starts being top 20s. Huge, 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 huge. Last appearance at the Valspar was back in 2022. He finished 12th.
Yep.
So I 100% think that he was a cheat code as well.
That's what I said. That's what I said. I mean, it's just a cheat code.
No-brainer at plus 145 for top 20. It was a no-brainer for me to pick him as well. I think we're going to have some differences, though, when it comes to 10s and 5s.
I mean, we're going to have...
I hope so.
We're going to have differences, but we're going to have similarities, my friend. I've already seen your list here.
Who's your top 10, Tin?
Well, my top 10 is similar to last week.
Okay.
I'm picking Straka again.
Nice. You know what? I was
picking
looking.
Straka.
It's funny about that because when I was looking at the odds this afternoon, Straka was definitely a standout name. I did a little bit of research on how he's played previously, at Copperhead, and it kind of scared me away from him. So I'm interested that you.
So I agree. I agree. I looked at that too, but in my head, he just played really well at a very hard golf course. He's going to another golf course that asks very similar, things from you, right? Shot shaping. Distance in your driver isn't going to make or break you. It's hitting the fairway, and that's what Straka does really well.
Yep.
Over the last 24 rounds, Straka is number 2 in the PGA Tour, strokes gained on approach, and he's number 3 on tour ball striking. Straka, top 10. I mean, it almost crashed last week at a T14. I still feel strong about, a similar performance this week, and hopefully it's 2 strokes better.
Beautiful. So, Love it. I took a different route. My top 10 was none other than our guy and great Canadian boy, Corey Conners.
That's right.
Corey Conners has 3 top 10s already this year,
Sure
2
does.
of those being top 5s, and 1 of those being a T6. Like, Corey Conners is playing great golf right now. It's a little bit of a gamble because just like we were talking with Luddy, I mean, Corey Conners has had his highs and he's had his lows. And coming off of, a solo 3 and a T6 in his last 2 tournaments, he's kind of due for a bad one, and it makes me nervous. That being said, he has that solo 3 and that T6 at 2 of the hardest courses that they have faced this year. And kind of the same reason why you're picking Straka is why I'm going Corey Conners, man.
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing to say because I picked Corey Conners for top 5 for the exact same fucking reasons that you just listed out loud. And that's why I said you're going to laugh when we get here. I think this is a golfer that is coming into his prime right now, and it's happening at a perfect time at all the hardest golf courses. And Corey Conners, who, used to think he's just got a bomb. He's a bomber, a long bomber. He's a fucking technician.
Yeah.
He's showing us this year that it ain't just the bomb, it's a technician.
Yeah, and
he has gained on putting, which was his worst statistical area of his game in the past few years. He's gained so much on his putting this year. I just feel like it's not a time for him to fall. It's a time for him to say, listen, I just did this on the 2 hardest golf courses of the year, and we're going to the 3rd hardest golf course of the year. I'm about to do it again.
Absolutely. And I love it. And coming from a guy that I'd say, Corey Conners as a Canadian is someone who I've always followed, especially because he shows out for Canadians. He's very proud to be Canadian. He came up on the Canadian tour. He comes to the Canadian Open every single year. So he's one of those staple names and players that I get to see live 4 days, out of the year, every single year. He's also one of those players that hasn't really done much in his career other than that. And for me, as a Corey Conners fan, as a Canadian, I mean, I hear slack thrown around and, shade put on Corey's name every single week on, different podcasts that I listen to. I mean, shout out No Laying Up. We're going to prove you wrong this week with Corey fucking Conners here, right? And it doesn't seem to matter, how well he plays when he does play and he does show up. He still has that shade that he's only Corey Conners. I think I couldn't agree with you more. Corey Conners this year is growing from it's just Corey Conners to it's Corey fucking Conners. And I love that pick for you. I'm going to say it again because I said it before. I hope, for the team he wins, and I hope for my bet that he finishes 6th. But, I mean, again.
Don't finish 11th. We know this. We know how this works. So we've been here before.
Many times, unfortunately. Somehow in 12 weeks, we've been here many times before. But I'm going to move on to my top 5. We talked about them a lot already this week on the podcast. Justin Thomas is my top 5 for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, he showed us last week, and he's shown us in previous weeks, he is still Justin Thomas. He is that JT. He has that inside of him. And looking at his previous history at the Valspar, 2021, 13th, 2022, 3rd, 2023, 10th. Last year, really bad year for Justin Thomas, 64th, right, at the Valspar. But last year wasn't a good year for Justin Thomas throughout the entire year. And this year has been. So in my mind, Justin Thomas, at plus 360 was a very, very good pick. Really good odds for me to take a look and see. I mean, the kid tied the course record last year. He's got that dog in him, and I'm hoping that dog shows up this week and we can cash another bet.
I mean, not against that at all. I think I took a look at him, and I feel like his swings up and down are so drastic, especially last week, right? I just didn't have confidence in picking him for a top 5 this week. If it was a 20, I might have, you know what I mean? But then I was like, well, why? I'm not going to take out Shane Lowry.
100%.
I just didn't have that confidence of you just went 3-6 and on 2 of the hardest golf courses, and you've improved your putting strokes.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, so that confidence is why I had Corey in 5, and I was just a little unsure of JT, and I was more sure of Lowry at the top 20, so I didn't include JT in this one.
100%. And to me, just being honest, I was toying between Connors and JT on 10 and 5. I was going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And at the end of the day, I just felt more confident. JT's been there before. He's done it before. And where I think he's really been lacking this year a lot is in his short game. It's showing up at times and it isn't at others. I mean, he's been chipping in all over the place at the TGL. So, I mean, if his short game is on, he wins this thing. Yep. Right? If his short game's off, I'm hoping he does enough with his ball striking that he gets me that top 5 and I can move on going 3 for 3 this week.
There you go. Hey, well, it'll be the first one. We haven't done it yet.
Almost one stroke away, but... Before we go, I did want to touch on the TGL
and how I was right.
This last segment and
how I was right.
Yeah, if you didn't so rudely fucking cut me off.
And how I was right. I should be betting that. I swear to God.
You know what? And we joke about who the hell would be betting the TGL, but I mean, you called both matches. New York just squeezed into the playoff and just absolutely ran through LAGC, the number 1 seed. Agree with you there, LAGC. I mean, being undefeated, I don't know if they should have been, right? No. But, I mean, they're not anymore, and they lost their most important match, of the year. ATL absolutely dominated the Bay as well. And, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I agreed with you that ATL had what it took.
Yep.
I still didn't see it coming. And the bit of controversy that I see, and I kind of mentioned it earlier with that big WD from our guy Wyndham. Wyndham Clark plays for the Bay. Obviously, his withdrawal from the Players had him withdraw from the TGL as well. If we look at how Wyndham played on the TGL alone in his individual stats, okay, so in the last 3 holes individually.
Talk to me.
He was first in holes 1. He was first in overall strokes gained total, first in strokes gained off the tee, first in strokes gained ball striking, and first in points won. Wyndham was the number 1 player on the Bay, and they had to play their most important match of the year without him. So do I think that, ATL would have lost if Wyndham was on there? I don't know, ATL came to play, you know what I mean? But do I think that it would have been a much closer match? And do I still believe that the Bay had enough to edge it and win that? Absolutely. I think that Wyndham's absence was felt very, very largely out of the Bay. And unfortunately, him coming down, I believe it was to illness, in my mind, I think cost them the championship in terms of the TGL.
Yeah. I mean, again, I really should have just been putting bets on the TGL because, I was right about all that. It does suck that Wyndham, withdrew. I think he was injured. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I mean, I seen an I word and I wrote down illness. It could have been injury, a little bit.
I, you know what I mean?
I mean, hopefully if he's injured, it's nothing too crazy. You know what I mean? Because
but I mean,
we need him back on our team.
You know what's crazy, right? Number 1 player in TGL, number 1 holes won. All I kept thinking is when I'm on the simulator, I shoot 85s when we don't putt. That makes sense.
When you don't putt.
I know they do putt. I know they do, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. So moving on to the TGL this week, obviously a really exciting week for me and for the TGL. So we have the championship coming up. Mm-hmm. Really interesting format that they've gone with. So it's a best of 3 finals. So there's going to be, best 2 out of 3 is going to win. First match is going to be this Monday. It's at 9 p.m. Tuesday is a doubleheader if needed. So 7 p.m. is going to be the first match on Tuesday, the 26th. If a third match is required, they're going back to back. They're running it back, and they're going to play at 9 o'clock. So
a little rock, paper, scissors.
There
Love
is
that.
the possibility for some big drama on Tuesday and a long night for me sitting in front of the couch. But we'll see how that goes. Just to remind everybody of the teams, of course, we have New York playing the Atlanta Drive. New York, headed by our guy Xander, also has Matty Fitz, Cam Young, and Ricky Fowler. So again, really interested to see who they choose in their lineups. Do they switch their lineup up between Monday and Tuesday? Do they switch it again if a third match is pushed? So a little bit of drama that's going to be caused there. ATL, our guy JT, just at the absolute top of his game. Patty Ice, another just
love that slow guy.
Killer out there. I mean,
Ice is the perfect nickname because it slows you down.
Yeah,
it slows your body functions down. I'm starting to get
finally
it.
Got that,
is that where they get that from, or was it just like a Patty Ice, like Cool Ice Man, like Mr. Cool Ice?
It came like, I mean, when it came to the scene, when I noticed it was when he won the Tour Championship because he was cold as ice. He was
see, that's what I'm saying.
Putt.
Yeah, Mr. Ice.
But it definitely has a double entendre there, saying that he's cold, he's slow as fuck. He's not slow in the TGL though, which is why I love him there. Billy Ho and Lucas Glover, like, I'd have to agree with you on here. I thought that the Bay was going to overcome ATL, but I did agree with you. If ATL got past it, I think that
ATL's.
I don't see a world where New York wins a single match. Like if I was a betting man, which I am, I'd say ATL takes Monday, takes Tuesday, takes the championship.
That's what I think too. I'd like to say though that they're probably going to take Monday. Is Monday or it was the first day they're playing?
Monday's the first day.
They'll probably take Monday. They'll lose the second match. You want to know why? Because I think Xander's going to find something. I battled with this thought on my way here today to the studio. I know that, he's performed really poorly in the last few weeks. I just have this weird feeling about Xander this week. Maybe it's because in my head, I'm like, this is the week he needs to do it.
Yep.
So I want it to happen. I just had a weird feeling about Xander, and it might start this weekend and then lead into Monday's and Tuesday's match, right? And you get a Xander on fire playing good golf. And I mean, he can take out JT. He can take out Patty Ice.
He could. Yeah, 100%. I mean,
he might not do it 3 times. They might not do it 3 times, but I think that New York can pull out one win. And I'd like to actually see, that third match. I think that would be best for the league, best for TV, best for the viewers.
Oh, for sure.
But
I mean, especially going back to back in terms of ratings. I mean, anyone who is, a casual fan who's just watching on their phone, seeing, oh shit, they're tied up and this is going on. Those ratings at 9 o'clock are going to absolutely skyrocket. I mean, again, I don't see it happening that way. I see.
Only thing they battle with is March Madness, which is huge. In America,
it's definitely huge in the States. I'm not a March Madness guy.
I am.
It's not a big deal to me. So I mean, I'll be glued to the TV for TGL either way. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so. I mean, this year I'm just hoping that I can push my March Madness winnings onto some Masters bets.
Oh, there you go.
So that's my goal. I'm spread out five different picks of my winners that. Hopefully I can pull about $50 on each of them, you know what I mean? And hopefully one of those wins big, so.
Beauty. Well, before then, excited to see the Valspar, excited to see the TGL playoffs. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Let's get it. Dechambros.